Welcome to Sports Talk with Steve Jones, the daily talk show with the voice of Penn State football and men's basketball. You never know what special guest may stop on by any given day. Now here's the man of the hour, Mr. Steve Jones.
We welcome you to the show. The Olympics are over. The people consoling you in the hallway was disgusting.
I'll tell you, yeah.
How much of it did you watch?
The last 3 days I watched more than I watched the first 13. I watched the gold medal games, both of them. The basketball. I did watch the volleyball prior to the women's basketball game. And aside from a little bit of wrestling, a little bit of basketball here and there, not much.
I would think in the 16 days, I watched slightly less than an hour.
I watched the full gold medal game of the U.S. France.
This is about time. It's not about
timing. Yep.
This is not about insulting the Olympics. It's about time.
No.
Because I've been doing the spikes. Up until last Thursday, I was going to basketball practice. Right? Football practice is now underway. I mean, the gold medal game for the men took place, and that was they were scrimmaging. Now, what do I need to be at? The TV watching the gold medal game, or do I need to be at the scrimmage?
Sure. Yeah.
Right. So it's been about time. I had a charity event I had to be at on Wednesday, so I did that. And so it ended up being this is the least amount of watching the Olympics in my lifetime.
You're not alone.
Even a little bit less than Tokyo.
Okay.
Right? Tokyo, I didn't watch much either. But again, this is schedule related.
Yeah.
This is not insult related. It's not like, I'm not watching that. It's just I didn't. And then when it came time to do other things, I did the other things because
you had to.
I had to.
Yeah.
And I don't mean just work, like just other things I had to get done. So,
sure. I would say as great of a job as NBC does, and they do a great job.
And by the way, Mike Tirico
absolutely
is an absolute great host
one of the
and just is unflappable.
Mm-hmm. Everything
he logged a lot of hours.
Yeah. Yeah, he has earned every position he's gotten. He got to Monday Night Football, well-deserved.
Oh, yeah.
Got to Notre Dame football, very well-deserved. Sunday Night Football, the same thing.
Have you met Mike?
I have years ago. It's been a long time. He was still at ESPN doing the
I've been around Mike
lesser stuff.
I've been around Mike a lot in my career, starting when he was in Syracuse.
Yep.
Because my college roommate, Dave Bullard, had the job at the same TV station as Mike. That's the first time I got to meet him. Then after that, we crossed paths many times. Mike's just a really, really good guy.
Yeah, absolutely. The job he did was spectacular.
Oh no,
and that's the one thing I would say about NBC. As much as they push the Olympics, I think they could do more because now you have the platform of Peacock. You go back years ago. When NBC was, I think, in a lot of ways, the leader, even though ABC was the wide world of sports, NBC pushed the heck out of everything in one big ad. The Super Bowl, the NBA Finals, the Olympics, all on NBC. They've got to go back to doing that. I think that is one thing. The Olympics viewership, I think, when it's all said and done here and you look at it, it's going to be down. And I think it's going to be down significantly, not only because of...
I think you need to compare it to Rio. I don't think
I think that's a big reason.
Tokyo.
No, I think it's...
Only because Rio was a non-pandemic.
Yeah, non-pandemic, and the other part of it is when it's in a foreign country, we are now in a world where you have access to the results way ahead of time. if you're watching it in prime time.
They did do a good job of putting everything on live.
They did a very good job. They did a very good job, absolutely.
NBC during the day had live.
Absolutely.
USA had live.
They did as best as they can. There's no question.
They put a lot of stuff on live and then repackage it at night. I never had a chance to see
I
really
didn't
much
see
of
a lot
anything
at all. But I still think from a promotional standpoint, and look, NBC has a lot of big things. Yeah, the NBA is coming back there. Obviously the college football, as big as it is, Notre Dame football, and also the Big Ten, which is their big one now. But I still think
Sunday Night Football,
absolutely. I still think they've got to be a little bit better promoting the Olympics as much as they do, which is a significant amount. I still think you have to do what you did 20 years ago. Now you have more platforms to do it. And I think from an NBC perspective, you've got to do that. Whether that increases the viewership or not, I don't know. But I think, I think viewership's going to be down when it comes to the Olympics. And I think, again, part of it is the live events, as good as they were showing them, they were during the day. So you knew the results going into the prime time for the most part, because you can't stay off social media, you can't stay off the internet.
Well, this is where Los Angeles is going to be the big.
I think that's going to be the test.
That's the big kahuna right there.
I think it's going to be the big test.
They can now dictate.
Yes.
Okay, women's gymnastics all-around final live, 8:00 Eastern time.
Yep.
Okay.
And I think that's where you start to see where the Olympics are. I think that, and I think the ratings will increase. They're also in the United States, I think, which is going to help, no question.
I mean, but there's also a bunch of sports in there that draw.
You just can't watch.
No,
it's.
I mean, breakdancing.
And exactly, it's not an insult to the sport, but you're looking at it like, I don't mean this as an insult to the sport.
They're going to put flag football in. I don't want to watch flag football.
No, and that's exactly. And you're also looking at it saying that's an Olympic sport.
Yeah.
And you almost took wrestling out. You took baseball and softball out for this.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no doubt about it. I think when you look at that, that's a concern too.
No offense, rhythmic gymnastics.
Yeah. Well, how about synchronized diving?
Synchronized diving? When do we ever watch synchronized diving except in the Olympics?
Exactly.
There's no synchronized diving program in college.
No.
I mean, come on.
No.
It's like,
and there are sports where...
hey, they've won more... that's the most medals they've won. There's 5,000 more sports.
I was going to say, that's
I hope you won more medals. Crikey.
True. But, And look, the Olympics are the spot where you showcase the sport. I think from a track and field perspective, the Olympics is where you want to be. Swimming, gymnastics, figure skating in the Winter Olympics. I think it's where you want to be. Curling, even. It's where you want to be.
Curling?
But, I think it's popular in the winter.
Curling?
I think it's popular in the Winter Olympics.
It's not popular right now?
No.
Why not?
I just don't think people...
I know you tried to curl in a pond in August. And it was bad.
It didn't quite work. Yeah, it didn't quite work too well.
The stone sunk.
It sunk immediately. It didn't even get through it went through the quicksand before it even got in the water. I was in trouble.
Just unbelievable.
In a world of trouble.
What? I don't know what you're thinking.
That's I wasn't thinking. But I think and that's the kind of things that make the Olympics special. There's no doubt about it. And even from a amateur wrestling standpoint, these guys, obviously, you want to be college national champions. You want to be All-Americans. Absolutely. And after that, you face a little bit of a dilemma. And the Olympics is one of those options. I think that, the Olympics at this point, for wrestlers, obviously, you go to the entertainment aspect of it. WWE is an option, MMA/UFC. But the Olympics, for a lot of them, is that second platform for them.
Sure.
And that's another part of it where the Olympics showcase them.
Aaron Brooks ended up getting bronze. Zane Rutherford, I believe it's a concussion. He had to pull out. And then I think Kyle Dake, bronze. Spencer Lee, a silver.
Yep.
I don't know how his mom reacted to that. But
he's been wrestling longer than some seasoned veterans, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Many, many years.
Yeah. So it was good but mixed.
Yeah. And I think that's going to be the reaction as a whole.
Women's volleyball team got silver.
Yeah.
And not only that, lost three straight.
Sets. Did not play well.
Italy didn't play well.
Yeah, Coach Karai is going to take criticism, no doubt about it.
Men's volleyball team ended up getting bronze.
Yes.
Women's basketball survived.
Yes.
And beat France by 1 to get gold.
Yep.
Well, both feet were on the line. I mean, she wasn't. That wasn't even worthy of a review.
That wasn't even not even close.
But the reason why is because it was a bang bang. Like we got to get the shot up as fast as we can, and they got it to her, and she just jumped. She didn't even look.
No,
she didn't even look.
Didn't have time to look.
And Gabby, it didn't go down for her, but. Oh, it did, but she banked it in fact.
Yeah.
And they lost by 1. The men, Steph Curry put on a show.
Yeah. Going to be probably his only gold medal. So I think it was fitting.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was, I think, well, there's two things with basketball. Number one, I think in the women's game, we're going to see an overhaul 4 years from now. I think you're going to see a lot of new players. I think you're going to see a lot step to the side.
I mean, you'll see Cameron Brink. You'll see Caitlin Clark. You'll see Angel Reese. You'll probably see Asia Boston.
Yeah. You won't see Tarazi in all likelihood.
No, you will not. You'll see Paige Beckers, but you won't see Dinah Taurasi.
Yeah, I think Beckers has the potential to be what Caitlin Clark was last year. I think Beckers is going to keep that women's game.
Right. But Asia Wilson, I would expect her to stay. I would expect Kelsey Plum to stay. I would expect Brianna Stewart to stay.
Same.
The women's soccer team, I tuned in 30 seconds before she scored the goal. All right. And, of course, Alyssa Nair and Sam Coffey were both critical to winning this whole thing, and the U.S. got gold. And now their aim is to win the World Cup. But Nair made a big save late. So I watched some of that. I saw the last minute and 17 seconds of the women's game. Mm-hmm. I saw none of the men's gold medal game.
Watched the majority of the women's game. Watched all the men's gold medal game.
I think like early on I caught like 2 minutes of volleyball in the training room after a practice. It was on like going, okay, I'll watch. Okay, great.
Yeah, and that was me with track and field. I didn't see
TV,
much. I saw Lyle win the 100.
Why were you in the training room? Because they have a TV in the training room. Exactly. I just wanted to look at it. There's nobody in there. It was like, hey, what's going on here?
I think from a basketball perspective, you got really the matchup. Well, really the semifinal and gold medal game. You got matchups that you could really dream about. You have Jokic going against the U.S. in the semifinals. In the finals, you have the guy that I think has a lot of hype surrounding him. There's no doubt, for good reason. Mm-hmm. And Wembanyama going up against the United States in a matchup that I think was really you couldn't ask for better. You have the home host.
Game.
I was going to say the home host and the United States, the heavy favorite. I don't think there's any question. It was.
I saw some of the swimming with Marchand. I did
see that.
Yeah, I saw some of that.
Yeah, I did not see 1 second of the gymnastics. Not because I didn't want to. I just did not have time to do it.
I mean, in the past, I've watched a little bit of canoeing. I've watched a little bit of rowing. I didn't get to see the golf with Scheffler's comeback. Again, these are all because of job related,
exactly. Well, you don't
or other things I had to do. I think I watched less than an hour total over 16 days.
And if you're talking just like full-fledged event, I saw 3. I did
not see one full-fledged event.
No, I saw the gold medal game Saturday, saw the gold medal game Sunday, and saw volleyball prior to it. That's it. Yeah, I just happened to time it perfectly, saw the 100 race that Lyle won by
I did see that.
Second.
Now that I did.
That I saw.
But it turned me off because the coverage was so bad.
Good. And that's what I mean. They've got to be better in this spot.
Okay, and I am not talking about Lee Diffie.
No.
In any way, shape, or form. I'm talking about the production
staff. That's what I'm talking about with NBC.
Was an absolute failure.
Absolutely.
Right? See, a guy like Mike Tirico is going to win
and you didn't see this 20 years ago. He's going to win
a sports Emmy because of great work.
Yeah.
Okay? The people who are in charge of the 100-meter did the artsy-fartsy stuff where you sat there and went, "What? Just tell me why he won, okay, what the rule is. Oh, and by the way, show me the standings.
Show me the finish. And show me the finish better than you did, too.
show me the finish, tell me why he won, what the rule is, and then show me the results so I can see what the times are.
Absolutely.
Right? Because I waited because I was going over to a Penn State football practice.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, well, hey, this is the 100 to me. This is one of the holy grails of track and field right here. Let's watch this. Right? This will be interesting. So I watched it. Like, wow. And of course Lee will be there. You notice in the wrap up, they cleaned it up.
Yeah, of course.
They cleaned it up.
Yeah, but with the
but now it's done.
Yeah,
I waited about 5 or 6 minutes, and I gave up and left.
Yeah,
I said these people are worthless.
Yeah,
right?
And
tell
especially
me why he won. Show the finish again.
Show me his big
to explain why he won.
Yeah.
And post the results.
Did not post the results.
Curly kid.
You're absolutely right.
Never put. So I could see.
Posted
I wanted to see the times.
Never posted them.
Right.
Yep, you're absolutely right.
I wanted to see. And then because it had an American flag on him.
Yeah.
I assumed.
Yeah.
Only assumed that the curly kid ended up getting a bronze medal. Mm-hmm. But they never said it.
They never said it. No, never said it.
I watched 5.
Never said it.
I watched 5 or 6 minutes. I got none of that. I'm like, what is wrong? Okay, I don't need to see him hugging everybody. Yeah. I got it. Reaction shots. People love reaction shots for about 20 to 30 seconds.
The finish more than they love anything else. The finish was so close, they got wrong who won. That tells you right there. Right. They need to show it again.
20 to 30 seconds, I'm fine with that. Show me the other stuff. Then you can go back to it. I don't, it's
it
like,
was not good.
And we had to watch the entire race from his mother's point of view. That's nice, but tell me.
That's nice leading up.
Right?
When the race happens, tell me the race.
Tell me what's going on here. And
absolutely.
They didn't do it. The second they did that, I said, these people don't know what they're doing.
No, they didn't do it at all.
It turned me off from watching other things.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I'm saying they're not good at what they're doing. They don't understand what the audience wants.
Yeah.
Right?
Watch.
I'm okay with reaction shots, but there are other things. They're basics. Yeah. I need some basics here.
No doubt. Watch the Kentucky Derby when there's a photo finish. How many times do we see that finish? How many photos do we see?
Yeah.
We see everything.
Right.
20 times over.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And that's the same network.
Stop.
So in that spot, you've got to be better showing that finish. I agree.
Have to sit down and say to yourself, we don't need to reinvent the wheel.
Absolutely.
Right? You had a director in particular and a producer secondarily that were trying to do something for awards. No, you don't do things for awards. You do things for the audience. Okay? The audience is...
That's what matters most.
The audience matters
1,000%.
exponentially more than your Emmy.
Yes.
Okay? If you're not doing it for the audience, because they did nothing for the audience.
No.
Again, I did not just sit there and wait for a minute or two. I waited 5 or 6 minutes because I wanted to see what... In particular, I wanted to see what the times were, and I wanted to see if Curly did get third. And I waited and waited and waited. I finally said, you know what? These people aren't going to do it. I gave up and left.
Yeah.
Is that what you want from the audience? No. I gave up and left?
No. Yeah. And that's again, the ultimate part of the point I made, that that network has got to be better on the Olympics 4 years from now. You got 4 years to worry about it. You got 4 years to prepare for it. And they've got to be better. In that spot.
You need different people in the truck that understand, that it's not just about reaction shots and the art of it. It's about doing the basics and then adding in the art. You've got to do the basics first.
Yeah. Well,
come on.
And there's one night, I was up later at night, and there was an event. It was something to do with the pool. I can't even remember what it was, but it was delayed. And literally, they were in the studio, went to the event for about all of 2 seconds to tell us it was delayed, nothing else. Did not say, it's delayed, we hope to have this here, we hope to have this here. Nothing. You wouldn't, if somebody's tuning in, they're expecting to watch that and it's not on. Okay, there goes the channel changer. That's where you've got to be better in that spot. There's no doubt.
It's,
Watch a baseball game that's in a rain delay. Tell me you don't know it's in a rain delay. Everybody knows it's in a rain delay when that happens.
Right.
Yeah, that's not, and that's another part that I caught. I can't even remember the event that was delayed because all of 2 seconds told me it was delayed. Nothing else. Nobody told me a word about it.
Yeah.
And you just can't have that. It doesn't matter if you have 4 people watching it. Those 4 people are tuning in to watch it.
Right.
When you're not telling them what's going on, they're tuning out.
Yeah. I mean, the 100 thing just totally turned me off.
Yeah,
because again,
same.
I remember when I left, I thought to myself, geez, I could have been at practice sooner. I said, I wasted all that time.
Yeah.
And I got nothing.
Now, the other thing.
I mean, I stood there. I literally stood there, like keys in hand, like, okay. Okay. Well, like, when are you going to do this?
Yeah.
Let's go.
And the other thing is believe what you say. Lyle wins the 100, and he's obviously showboating afterwards. And look, you're in the moment. I get it.
I'm not even criticizing
I get it.
that.
That's what I mean. You're in the moment. I get it. But they talk about, it's just how, that is not him showboating. That is the emotion, yada, yada. 5 days later, 5-6 days later, U.S. Olympic team wins the gold in basketball. And obviously, Lyle made the comment, in basketball, are you true world champions, when he criticized the NBA. So the NBA took a dig at him and said, hey, are they world champions now? And NBC took a shot at Lyle saying, well, that's, he's flamboyant, he showboats. It's the opposite of what you just told me on 5 days ago.
Right.
Yeah, so that's where, that's, again, it's those kind of things people remember.
He is flamboyant, he showboats.
Yeah, and it's okay to say that.
I mean, it's like, I think Juan Soto's a really good baseball player. I didn't say great. I said really
he's good. Yeah, absolutely.
Right? I mean, good defensively, runs the bases, the whole thing, but he showboats.
Yeah.
Okay.
Deion Sanders was the same way.
Right.
One of the best players I ever saw.
He was a great football player.
Showboated.
And Soto's become really good, along with Giancarlo Stanton, of the flip the bat, stare at it.
Giancarlo Stanton is really good at being on the bench and then watching the game.
And then, the ball's off the wall?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
You're right.
It is? I better run. Okay. You can run now.
Yep.
Why don't you run out of the gate?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Gleyber Torres, he got benched for a couple innings. Because he didn't hustle. I'd have benched him for 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, by the way.
Charlie Manuel didn't hesitate benching Jimmy Rollins when he did that.
Hey, guess what? You run. You don't want to run? Then I'll make sure that you run to the next location.
Mm-hmm. Now make sure you run on your off day. In batting practice, when everybody's batting,
your next location.
You run 4 laps.
You can run to the Atlanta Braves if you want.
Mm-hmm. I agree. And that's where, you look at Albert Pujols. There's nobody I've ever seen in my life admire a home run more when he hit it.
Yeah.
But when the ball was gone, when he knew it was gone, when there was any doubt, now granted he wasn't hustling the whole time, he was still running it out. There's no doubt.
Well, I'll tell you one of the worst, ground ball the second, who barely ran. And I have praised him up one side and down the other for all the clutch moments in his career. But David Ortiz did not run.
Yep, ground ball. Yep.
Ground ball the second, ground ball the way.
Opposite of Bryce Harper, right? I think runs everything out.
Harper sprints everything out.
Yep. McCutcheon, same thing.
Right. McCutcheon, I think McCutcheon's a marvelous player. But that's
Ricky Henderson knew he could beat it out. Same thing.
I'm sick and tired. And this could, I don't want this to come out as the old man in the lawn thing. But I'm sick and tired of hearing, this is the modern athlete. This is a modern game.
Game's not changed.
Right. The game hasn't changed.
No, the game itself, there may be things leading to that game and things involved in that game that change. The game itself has not.
I can tell you, look, I was a kid. And I played everything hard. Not well, but I played hard.
Same.
No matter what. That's one thing I will say. I may not have been the best at anything.
Yeah.
But I played hard. I'll never forget playing. What was I? It's sophomore in high school, something like that. They had ground ball to first, and I sprinted all the way down. Now I'm gonna get it, right. And the first baseman went to the bag, stopped, and about one stride before I got there, then put his foot on the bag. Right. Keith Patno.
Yep. So you remember names on that one.
Oh, sure I do.
Ah.
I'll tell you, my coach reamed him out. I mean, like...
Mm-hmm. So they should have.
No, he said, that's Bush League.
As it was.
Right? And he said, that guy's playing hard. He says, and you're doing that? Now, today...
Yeah.
The person running down first wouldn't be running hard anyway.
No. Nope.
But
quite a few of them.
But that was... I felt if I wasn't doing that, I wasn't trying.
Yeah, I agree.
Right? I was, but that was a long, long time ago. I actually had hair. So, but that's why my tolerance for when I see stuff like that, I don't have a high tolerance for it because you have exponentially more natural athletic gifts than I ever had.
Yeah. And
I could ever dream of having.
Yeah. And that goes
but even if I had all those, I'd still play hard because I think that's the only way to play. The only way to play. Because
absolutely.
If I didn't, I felt like I was letting myself and my teammates down. And
it's a big reason why, and it's every sport. And it's a big reason why, I know those listening know there'll be a bias here with this answer, but when people ask me, they say the greatest receiver of all time, it's Jerry Rice, and they say, well, Randy Moss has a case.
No.
And I say, no, he doesn't. This is a guy that did not
Jerry Rice a Bush League.
He was just overrated, yeah. But
see,
Randy Moss.
I knew I could get you to admit it.
Randy,
see, to me, it's Sterling Shepard.
Sterling Shepard, or I'll tell you, Sterling Sharp was a guy that could have been very, very good had he not been injured. But I think he was better than his brother, to be honest with you. I think that's how good he was. But Randy Moss is a guy athletically may have been the most talented receiver of all time. Didn't show it every play. Certainly didn't show it every play.
Jerry Rice was like a 4'6" guy.
Mm-hmm.
But
you never knew it when he broke away after the catch.
But you put pads on him?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Never saw a guy run after the catch better than him.
No.
Still to this day.
No, I mean...
That includes Antonio Brown in his heyday, who I think was as good as anyone when he was...
Sure.
Yep.
It just... I don't know. I'm not...
Yeah, and again, that's just a prime example of every sport. That's Randy Moss is another one. You see these guys take plays off. You have... And the great coaches don't tolerate it. He didn't take plays off in New England. He sure didn't when he played with Tom Brady and Bill Belichick because it didn't happen, and it wouldn't happen, or he'd be on the bench. And that's where I think great coaching does come in. Just you don't tolerate those kind of things at all. And again, we saw it in Pennsylvania, those in Philadelphia when Jimmy Rollins did not run things out. Mm-hmm. Charlie Manuel didn't hesitate. He was on the bench.
Yeah, and everybody, oh, that's old school. Well, what's wrong with old school?
What's wrong with old school?
It doesn't mean you can't adapt.
People say it's different nowadays. It's different. Yes, the game isn't, though.
Game's not different.
The game's not different.
Still 90 feet between bases.
Football field's not any different.
Basketball, hoops still 10 feet high.
That part of the game is not different. The training regimen of it, the actual rules of it, they're different.
Well,
the game itself is not.
Yeah, and the football, the training regimen had to be different.
Yeah.
Because it is a sport that is, I think football is the greatest team sport out there because there's so many parts that have to fall into place to make any play happen on both sides of the ball. Basketball is a great team sport, but it is 5-on-5. Well, this is 11-on-11. And you're changing units all the time. And everything has to work. Well, that is also the sport that's been under assault.
Mm-hmm.
Basketball has not been under assault. Baseball, no. Hockey, no. But because of head injuries, concussions, other injuries, college and pro football had to circle the wagons a little bit. And when they circle the wagons, the idea was, okay, let's do everything we can to make the sport safer. So training camp is now different. I think you're only allowed to tackle, 8 days in an NFL training camp. I believe that's the number is 8.
Mm-hmm.
And if you saw this week, the 49ers canceled their scrimmage
with the Saints. Yeah,
with the Saints. And there was one other scrimmage that was canceled. These joint practices, because I think they're concerned about injuries. And all these rules have been, or the regiments have changed, because they're trying to give the sport long life.
Right.
That's the reason why. Now, in the end, we can then debate whether all this is good or not, but to keep it alive, that part's good. That's why I say I usually feel like the tackling across the board, whether it's the NFL or college football, usually by the third game is where the tackling really starts to fall into place.
Absolutely.
For teams, because it's been the games the last few years where, despite tackling drills, this is where the tackling falls into place. Live tackling on a play-in and play-out basis. Now, Saturday, Penn State scrimmage. They tackled. So they'll do, so they did do that. That was a full-blown, full-fledged scrimmage on Saturday. Yeah. And then they had yesterday off. They're going to practice today, tomorrow. They're going to go the rest of the week because they're not in school this week. But, yeah. And then a week from Saturday is the first game with Florida State plays Georgia Tech. That's a week from Saturday.
Yeah, football starts. Yeah, literally 23rd, 24th weekend.
Yeah.
Yep.
What they call week 0.
Yeah, which is week 1 at this point. In high school football, it certainly is.
Yeah, they'll at some point, I think they'll declare it week 1, because I think if you're going to go through a longer season, and I know it's still just 12 games, but with the playoff and everything, the potential there for longer, I think you'd have to consider a second bye week. But that's me. Now, this year has 2 bye weeks because of the calendar. Labor Day to Thanksgiving. It just turns out it's a total of 14 Saturdays, to play 12 games, so you get 2 bye weeks. But it's something to at least think about and consider. Mm-hmm. And go from there. The read I am getting on money, the SEC is going to do its deal when it comes to money.
Sure.
Okay. I think the Big Ten is going to, the way I'm understanding it now, is going to follow suit on that as to what they're going to do. It's not going to be like, hey, $22 million, you get 11, you get 11. No. I'm not going to get into the splits I know about or have heard about. I know as much as you want me to. It's not the right thing to do for me to do right now. But the way I am understanding the splits, potentially, these are potential, okay? The potential splits I've heard about would be more in line with what the SEC is doing. My question is going to be moving forward, the ACC, the Big 12. I mean, can those schools afford $22 million? I don't know. Now, this is a week. What today is the 12th? So Thursday, and you'll be going to the Thursday Spikes game because once again it's Dollar Beer Thursday.
That's right.
God, you are sloppy when you're at that. Last time I walked past you on Dollar Beer Thursday, you had 2 in your hands and you were trying to tuck in 2 more next to your body. What are you doing?
You got to catch up with things. That's why you can't just have one.
Catch up?
Yeah.
You play catch up. But Thursday's the day that you have to make a declaration in the ACC about what you're going to do about 25-26. If the day comes and goes without anybody doing that, then the Clemsons and the Florida States, for example, of the world are, 25-26. Now, the judge in the case with Florida State has suggested and has told them you need to go to mediation. Well, anytime there is a suit like this, everybody's like, oh, see, now they're going to sit down for mediation. It means nothing. Okay? Everybody is suggested to go to mediation when they're in an antitrust suit like this. This thing's going to trial.
Yeah.
Okay? That's my opinion. My opinion is it's going to trial.
I agree.
House you knew was not going to go to trial.
Right.
And the reason that you knew the House versus the NCAA was not going to go to trial is that nobody in the NCAA could afford it. Because if you lost, and they were on the pathway to losing, you feel like, whatever they're paying out now would have been tripled. Because it's an antitrust case. I mean, antitrust settlements are always troubled. Okay. So they could not afford to have that case go forward. They needed to sit down and hammer it out. The ACC in Florida State, I mean, do you think the ACC needs to hammer out a settlement with Florida State? For what?
Yeah.
For what? Take it to court.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Right? I have signed contracts here. Take it to court. I mean, if I'm the ACC, I sit there and say, let's explain how this came about. I put somebody from Florida State in the stand and said, so when you signed the grant of rights the first time and then the second time, did we have everybody in a room and release them one by one until they did, or did you freely do it? It wasn't a hostage situation. They didn't really. We'll now release Mike Norvell. Right? Sign the document or we will not release him. Now, there's some Florida State fans be sitting there like, no, keep him. Yeah. Which then brings up the next part about the playoff coming up. If you have 4, there's an intense pressure to get there. If you don't make it, then there is heavy scrutiny. Well, now the scrutiny actually, in some ways, is greater because if you don't make 12, like, whoa.
Yeah. Oh, there's no doubt.
Right?
Yeah. And the scrutiny expands, too.
Yeah.
It expands just like the playoff does.
Yeah. And that's where, all right, let's take Ohio State as an example.
Mm-hmm.
They will continue to play Michigan.
Yeah.
Under the new schedule, they play Michigan every year.
Mm-hmm. I believe so.
Oh, that's right.
That's
because
protected.
That's right. Yeah, those are protected game. I forgot there are 11 protected ones. Iowa protected 25% of its schedule. I'm not joking.
I know.
They 1/3 of Iowa's conference schedule and 25% of their overall schedule.
Yeah.
Actually, it's 1/3.
Yeah.
It's both 1/3. You want to know why? 1/3 of their Big Ten schedule is protected, and because of Iowa State, 1/3 of their
1/3 of the full schedule.
is protected. Do you think? I mean, do you follow the game?
Followed the game. It didn't put 2 and 2 together with Iowa State there. I forgot about them. Forgot about them.
Because in elementary school, they kept putting you in detention during math.
Well, it wasn't fair for them to do. Yeah, but they did.
But
Even had Ernie.
Iowa has one-third of its schedule.
Yeah, literally.
Every year.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Well, and the scrutiny goes up for a team like them. The scrutiny goes up for a team like Iowa.
I don't know if there's any scrutiny on them at all. Because
I think there is now. You're in a spot now where I think they
don't have the world of the West.
No, they don't have the world of the West to protect them.
Wisconsin doesn't have the world of the West to protect them. Iowa doesn't have the world of the West to protect them. Okay?
Which furthers the chances of if you finish 7th in the Big Ten as opposed to when they won the West, suddenly they're under more scrutiny because there's no doubt where...
When I was with the other Big Ten announcers, when we were in Columbus, right? And I said, let me ask you guys a question. Is finishing 8th good?
Mm-hmm. No.
Everybody looked around like, wow. And the best answer was, it depends on your circumstances. So let's take, for example...
Northwestern, yes, last year.
Indiana. Yeah. If Indiana were to finish 8th in the first year for him as the head coach, okay, that'd be good.
Sure.
Right? But if Penn State, Michigan, Ohio State, Oregon, if one of them were to happen to finish 8th, that'd be bad.
Mm-hmm.
I think Wisconsin finishing 8th isn't great.
No, the expectation is still there in the West with a lot of teams.
USC finishing 8th is not great.
No. Absolutely not. Not with what they're paying Lincoln Riley. Good Lord, Lincoln Riley. Yes. Not with what they're paying Lincoln Riley, and with how much their defense...
Do I need to hold up signs for you? I mean,
with how much their defense has struggled. I mean, they might still be paying Lane Kiffin for all we know.
Do you need a teleprompter? I mean, I know it's working. The teleprompter thing and staying away from ad-libbing's working for a certain person right now. I was just kind of wondering maybe we ought to do that with you.
They might still be paying Lane Kiffin, but Lincoln Riley, with what he defensively, what USC has done, with how close they've come to the Pac-12 and the championship the last 2 years, absolutely.
If UCLA were to finish 8th, I think that'd be good.
Yeah.
If USC were to finish 8th, it'd be bad.
I agree.
Now, in basketball, finishing 8th is good.
Yeah.
Because of the NCAA basketball tournament. Mm-hmm. You can finish 8th.
Even Big Ten tournament in that spot. Yeah.
But I'm saying you can finish 8th in the Big Ten and make the NCAA tournament.
Sure. Yep. Yeah, I think the scrutiny, I think there are some teams where the scrutiny is going to be there no matter what. And I think the first one you named,
Ohio State, Penn State, Michigan, they're always going to have the scrutiny on Penn State,
especially in this spot right now with Ohio State. Mm-hmm. And I think they're in a spot now where, and look, Jim Harbaugh was under this scrutiny too prior to the magic that happened at Michigan that just miraculously they were able to beat Ohio State 3 times. But that's, complete magic. I didn't see any kind of sign stealing or anything. It just happened to happen. But I think, to me, when you look at Ohio State this year, with what they put into the program in the offseason, they're in a spot now where Michigan, if they don't beat Michigan at home, where it's in Columbus this year, they don't get to the playoff, and you could even make the argument they don't get to a national title game. I think Ryan Day is in trouble.
I think if they lose to Michigan but still make the playoff, I think that is a problem.
Yeah. I agree.
Even losing to Michigan but still making the playoff will be a problem.
Yeah.
If he loses to Oregon, Penn State, and Michigan, he's not going to make the playoff.
He's done.
And it's going to be a gigantic problem.
Yeah, the expectation at that point is he's done. And I think, for the old cliche and the old saying is, we go 1-11 as long as they beat Michigan. They go 1-11 as long as they beat Ohio State. No, that's garbage. That's not true.
No.
But I do think that game is measured without question a lot more than the other games are.
Sure.
I do agree with that. There's no doubt.
Right.
And Ryan Day's lost the last 3 no matter how it happened. And look, I agree. with no question, the investigations that happened were there for good reason. And now those are gone. So now that you look at what you have Michigan, which I think to me is a down Michigan team, I think quarterback's going to be a big question mark for them.
Their defense is good.
Defense is good. I agree.
Graham's really
Defense
good.
Defense is real good.
Grant's really good.
Yep.
Will Johnson's really good.
Absolutely.
I mean, they still have some players on that side.
Yep, I agree. But I think in that spot, that's the kind of scrutiny I think a team like Ohio State is on. Whereas Ole Miss, let's use them as an example, I think the scrutiny is there now for a team like them to be in the playoff because you are consistently in the top 10 to 15 every year.
Ole Miss is going to be the argument for massive transportal.
Mm-hmm.
And if they don't make it, it'll be the argument against massive transportal and a mix of development and transfer portal.
I agree.
I mean, we've seen with Penn State, for example, the production they've been able to get out of key transfer portal guys, but they've done it to, I think, of today's standards, a minimum. Now, for example, I'll give you an example of a guy transferred in from Georgia, A.J. Harris, who's having A.J. Harris having a really good camp right now. So is Jalen Kimber. Well, those are two guys that transferred in. Well, they're going to make a difference. Yeah. I think Julian Fleming's going to help. But again, that's, the transfers into the program. Like John D. Dixon ended up being a heck of a transfer into the program.
Absolutely.
Chop Robinson was a heck of a transfer into the program.
Ebiketie previously,
Arnold Ebiketie was a heck of a transfer into the program. So they've been judicious in how many transfers they've taken. Now let's go to Ole Miss. They've done it en masse. And as much as Colorado has taken the brunt of the criticism about mass transfer portal, Lane Kiffin has been all in on the transfer portal for a couple of years now. Everywhere I looked on my chart, because I always put in parentheses previous school, that way I have a reference point. Not sure. They're all over that chart, everywhere. Right? And so that's going to be the argument for. Then there's, and then there's Dion at Colorado, who had a press conference the other day that was just, what the heck's he doing? I've heard him explain logically that, hey, look, we brought in all these skill guys one year. This year we concentrated on getting big people. Okay, well, I can buy that in year 2 of the program. That's a logical explanation. But I think his press conference was, Friday, Saturday with the media, Colorado, whatever media day was. And I didn't quite get what was going on with that. I mean, evidently anybody that has uttered a critical word of him, he's critical of.
Which you can't be.
You can't be that way.
Now, there's two major, you can't be thin-skinned in football, period, but there's two major spots where you can't be, and that's quarterback and that's head coach. You can't
See, I knew if we had that teleprompter up for you, you'd be able to get that out. That was really well done.
But that's two spots where absolutely you just can't, you can't be. And I can name plenty of people that were. And I can tell you why they're not coaching now, and I can tell you why their career didn't last long at quarterback.
Joe Montana.
Yeah, he was terrible. Just didn't have a strong arm. 3rd-round pick. He was 3rd-round pick for a reason. It's all Bill Walsh that won those Super Bowls.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
No, Montana was. The reason I root for the 49ers is Joseph Clifford Montana.
Really?
Absolutely.
One guy?
He's, not anymore. I don't have favorite players anymore, but at that time, growing up,
Brandon
no question.
Ayuk isn't your favorite player?
He's a little down the list right now.
Mad.
He's got to work his way up a little bit.
You're mad at him, are you?
Well, I think most of us are. I think Kyle Shanahan might be a little mad at him right now. Might be very mad at him. He gets a check no matter who it's from. He's going to be one happy man.
Your guy. Brandon Ayuk.
No, the other guy holding out, they got to pay. I think he's...
Who's that?
Trent Williams still holding out.
Oh.
Yeah, he doesn't play week 1. You're going to feel it.
He's 48, isn't he?
He's getting up there. But he's still the best offensive lineman in football.
What does that tell you about the offensive lines in football?
Yeah. But there's so many teams just feel like, and Kyle Shanahan guilty of this more than almost anybody. I think there's so many people just have the mentality, hey, I'm a genius, I can figure out that position, when you haven't. 49ers didn't figure out the offensive line. There are a lot of teams, if Steelers haven't figured out their secondary at a lot of times, they're getting better now. But, there's so much of a mentality, yeah, we can figure it out. Eagles, same thing. Oh, we'll figure the linebacker spot out. And they didn't figure it out last year at the end of the year.
No.
Yeah, it's okay to admit, hey, we're weak in a spot here. We need help.
But you have to do that in a salary cap world.
Absolutely.
In a salary cap world, you have to figure out, okay, you know what? I need to go all in on this guy because he's one of the best at his position.
Yep. And the biggest way to do that...
I may have to sacrifice over here a little bit because of the financial numbers.
Sure. The other big way to do it is learn how to draft. That's where a lot of teams excel at it. The Atlanta Falcons, I'm still not sure what they were thinking round 1, but...
Has he played?
He played, first preseason game, and it had a turnover, but looked okay. They're talking about Penix, not Cousins.
Yeah.
Yeah, Penix looked okay.
Yeah, I don't expect Cousins to play.
But, and the classic part of all is, well, Cousins has a little bit of an injury history, so does Michael Penix, in case you haven't noticed.
Well, two of them were in Penn State games.
Unfortunate, yeah.
Yeah,
they were unfortunate.
Penn State games.
Absolutely.
One out there and one here. So.
Yeah. But that's a
But at Washington, he was unscathed.
Yeah, absolutely. It really was, and played well, and deserved to be a first-round pick, but just the team that took him, I'm looking at and thinking, you just paid $100 million guaranteed to that same position.
Well, this is like when Montana and Young were there.
Yeah, but you traded for Steve Young. You gave up peanuts for him. that was a big difference there.
And then he replaced Montana with Young.
No, that 1988 was a year where I think 49ers fans were angry with Walsh in a lot of ways that year, basically, and ownership basically stepped in and said, "Hey, start a guy or sit a guy. That's it." And that was the right move. You bring Montana in, he wins the Super Bowl, beats the Bears in Soldier Field. And I'll never forget that game. NFC Championship. Frigid day at Soldier Field, and the 49ers beat them.
Oh, Joe grew up in frigid conditions.
He did.
Western PA.
Western PA, sure did. Monongahela, went to Ringgold.
I mean, have you made a pilgrimage to his homestead?
I have not. I've been in most Western PA parts. Western PA, for years there, was notorious for the quarterback position.
One man's pilgrimage is another man's stalking.
There it is. Just not mine.
Is that a good place to end it?
That might be.
Perfect.